sir.
Okay, you there? Hold on. All right, we're going to come on live. Hey, hello, welcome to Celebrating Fatherhood 365. I am your host, AJ. I don't know why that is still on the screen, but I do have a guest. Just booked him. We're going to talk a little bit about being a father and what it means to be a father. Um, Amadi, are you there?
Yes, sir. I'm here.
Okay, I need to turn you up a little bit. Say something.
I'm here.
Okay, you are there. For some reason, I can barely hear you, but you are being heard. You are being broadcast out. So I need to figure out what in the H is going on. Let me turn that up. Say so.
Yep.
There we go. I apologize. Probably should have cut my camera off and did that. But we have editors, so we can edit that out. So, what's going on with you, man? What's new with you? We're talking about
Um.
fatherhood tonight. You are the father of two. Actually,
Yes,
the
sir.
father of two of my godchildren. So, I've
Yeah.
been knowing you for a long time.
Long time.
We've been in the weeds together, in and out.
Yeah.
Yes, indeedy. So, fatherhood is not an easy job. What do you think about fathers who give up on their children?
Um. Man, I think it's unfortunate. I think the biggest thing with kids is to give them the safety of feeling like somebody, at least one person, won't give up on them. And
Yes.
as a father, you're supposed to be that one person.
Yeah.
And when you give up, you could say it's stress, you could say all these things, but you're just saying my kid isn't worth enough to put up with anything.
Right. Because a lot of men give up because when they divorce the mother, they divorce their children. That's what happened with me. My father, when he divorced my mother, he divorced us as well. We weren't important enough for him to stick around, to come around, to for us to be in his life. And from what I saw of my mother, she never put restrictions on him as to saying he couldn't do this, he couldn't do that. He
Yeah.
made that conscious choice.
Yeah, it's an unfortunate thing. I think that if men had men in their life as support, like what we're trying to do, I think that it's normal to have those feelings. When you going through a tough situation, whether it be a divorce, a split, a breakup, and kids are involved, you got to figure a way how to, get through that. And sometimes you just need other fathers to say, hey, look, man, I know it's tough, but, you know, keep pushing and you got us here with you.
Yeah, yeah. I work with fathers a lot and, mentor kids a lot. And I do parent coaching, but when I work with the fathers, man, the ones I've worked with, they've been in court for 8 years. One's been in court for 8 years. One was in court for 13 years. And then I have some fathers who are just starting to deal with the court system. That's a lot. And through that, it frustrates them, but I thank God that they never gave up, on the kids.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing about it, too, is because they don't give up, when the child turns 13, between 13 and 16, if the father is stable and can provide, the children end up moving in with the father
Yeah.
once they hit that age, you know. but a lot of times, I'll say between 5 and 13 is when a lot of fathers give up, and it goes back to two alienation. You don't know what the mother or the grandmother or other family members are saying to that child about you. That could impact your life as well.
Yeah.
That's the challenging piece to that. But it's a growth process, and I always encourage fathers to don't give up, to don't quit. And it can get better. Working with moms, the ideal thing would be for parents to get along and work together. But what do you think some of the challenges are with them working together?
I think the biggest thing is ego. Honestly,
ego.
I think ego.
Ego is usually ascribed to males. Pride is usually ascribed to females. So you talk about male ego or woman's ego. I mean, how will you define ego?
Well, whether it could be both. It could be on both parts, or it could be on one party. So if those terms are synonymous to a specific gender, then it's whatever individual that will be exhibiting those behaviors it will be for. So if it's the woman, typically sometimes it's the woman that's feeling some type of way about the break, may not like some of the things that the father is saying, and it's a double contribution, and sometimes you just need a calm middle ground to kind of sift through it. But I think the biggest thing is, like, if you don't heal, then it's going to be that conflict. It's going to be uncomfortable things that you're going to have to go through that's unnecessary.
Yeah. Why do you say it's unnecessary?
Well, having to go to a point where the parents are bickering, having disagreements without solutions, then it getting into court, like you said, parental alienation. These things are unnecessary. The Quran teaches us that we fight evil with what's better. And the Bible speaks about something similar to that as well. So I take that approach in dealing with people. I rather deal with the thing that's better and not deal with the conflict in a negative manner.
Okay. But here's the challenge to that, though. Conflict is normal in relationships.
Yes, but I'm not gonna have those. I'm not gonna. I don't think that an unhealthy way of having conflict is necessary.
That's what unhealthy way.
Like when you have conflict, instead of hearing the other person, it becomes receiving it as an attack, and then you get on the defense, and then you start shooting out little things that you know about the person, and then now at this point, we're not even talking about the kids. We're talking about the mother and the father having a disagreement, and now it's about them.
Right. So that's communication skills that the parents either have or don't have. Would you agree? I mean, that goes back to how do you communicate, because conflicts are going to happen, especially when there's no way around it involved. So it boils down to, how are your communication skills? And let me ask you a question. In order to change a scenario, in order to change a parenting dynamic or conflict, does both parents need to change, or could one parent change the dynamic of that relationship?
Oh, one person. All it takes is one person.
Okay. So that one person would need to have a different approach.
Mm-hmm.
And that takes skill. Even in my parenting class, I teach, this class will give you knowledge. Now you must practice what you've learned to develop the skill set, right?
Yep.
And you know what most people don't do is practice. They take
Yeah.
the class
They
and get a
think once they
certificate.
know, that's enough.
Yep, they take the class, get a certificate, and they think they mastered it. No, you just started kindergarten when you finished the class. You know, and I'll give you an example with conflict. And you mentioned earlier how in conflict, well, you're talking and then one person says something, and then next thing you know, the conversation's off track, and y'all are going back and forth with each other versus focusing on the child, right? On the children, correct?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Remember, well, yeah, you did take my class before. Remember
Hmm.
the formula called affirm, reflect, affirm, right?
Yeah.
So if you do affirm, reflect, affirm, and also I teach this too, that everything I teach in this class works on all levels of relationship. From
Right.
spouse to spouse, co-parent to co-parent. That means you don't live in the same house.
Friends.
Even parents who live in the same house. So if you apply affirm, reflect, affirm to the conversation, it wouldn't get off track. Do you remember that technique?
Hmm.
Okay.
I practice it all the time.
But a lot of times what happens is in the heat of the moment, we get caught up in the conflict and then everybody withdraws and shuts down. And then it gets to the point where it creates a negative feedback loop in that you shut down and don't want to talk, or you block them, or you do things like that, versus affirm, reflect, affirm. Or another technique is we talked about is reflect, relate, and regulate. That's another technique. Reflect on how you're feeling in the situation, relate it to the other person, and then you both decide to regulate yourselves. I'm feeling stressed right now. How are you feeling? Well, what do we need to do to regulate ourselves? That's another technique. So it's all about, to me, it's about how we communicate. You know the challenging piece to what I'm talking about right now?
What is that?
Consistency, predictability. Because if you do it right
That's
10
what it takes.
times, if you do it right 10 times, and then the 11th time you do it wrong, what are they going to remember?
That one time.
That one time. Because it's all
I
emotion.
had my daughter say to me the same thing that your son said to you.
What's that?
You can't mess up. You can't fall short.
Yeah.
You can't lie one time. You can't, not one time. I need you to be a 100% at all times.
Right.
But everybody else, they could show up at 50, 25,
Absolutely.
89.
Everybody else, including the mother, 100%. Why? Because
Right.
children hold fathers to a different standard. You know, even wives hold fathers to a different standard. You know, Chris Rock said it best. Children, women, and pets are loved unconditionally. Fathers are loved based on utility, what you do and what you provide. And that is stability within the family structure. If you're not stable, then it's going to cause problems within the family unit. And what I mean by stable, I mean being consistent and predictable. And most fathers, not saying all, a lot of them are inconsistent because of training. What we don't know. We didn't know that. But when you know better, we're supposed to do what? Do better.
Do better.
So just being consistent with when you do this, I feel. When you say this, I feel. That's a reflection. And that's dealing with and processing the conflict. Right?
Yep.
So I always encourage people who've taken my class, or if you want to take my class, you can go to my other website. It's Quadrant, www.quadrant, QUADRANT.FFS.com, and register for my parenting class. And the class is on Mondays, English, and on Tuesdays in Spanish. So you're more than welcome to take any of those classes. And I appreciate you hanging out with me tonight and having this discussion, because a lot of times we get frustrated even as fathers, and we want to blame, but we got to first look at ourselves and say, what am I doing to cultivate this relationship? You know, because I call it a fivefold ministry in the home. Husbands being the priest of the home. Provide, protect, teach, instruct, and cultivate. Even if the home is broken or dysfunctional, does that change your responsibility as a father?
Absolutely not. You still got to show up, 100%.
Absolutely. Provide, protect, teach, instruct, and cultivate. Those things are always, always necessary for us to do. And I would say necessary and required. But a lot of times, we get caught up in our own feelings and our own mess too, you know?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I've been married, and I'm going to tell you, man, I've been cussed out a many a day, in public and in private, in front of the kids and not in front of the kids, at church, not in front of church. You know what I'm saying? But it didn't change. Yeah. It did not change my response.
Yeah.
You know, and if it changes your response, that means you have some, growing to do. That's all.
Yep.
We all on a journey. Fathers are on the journey, and I like this conversation, number one, and I like talking about fatherhood, because most of the time we get the buffoon father or the inept father, you know what I'm saying, or the deadbeat father. We never get the father who's trying to be in their child's life, you know. We don't hear about those fathers. And then sometimes with the father trying to be in the child's life, the system, I'm not going to just say the mother, but the system will make it difficult for you to be.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
100% agree. It's definitely not the same rules for men and women.
Not at all. And that's the sad part about it, because my approach or my understanding, I believe children need both parents. However they may need to show up in that child's life, I think it's wrong to cut out one parent from being in that child's life. Even if the relationship is dysfunctional, we still should be able to manage it, even with supervised visitation or shorter visits. You know what I'm saying? They still need to spend time with the other parent.
Yeah.
Because they need to see for themselves. And you know some of the challenges that they have could be mental. Could be a mental illness, undiagnosed.
Right.
You know? Because remember, I don't know if you took this part. Did I ever do couples counseling with you?
With me?
Yeah, did I ever do couples counseling with you when you were married?
Yes, you did.
So did we look at the video and we talked about willing and able?
I don't think we got that far.
Yeah, we didn't do couples counseling because that's the first video I showed. I don't think I did couples work. But anyway, the video talks about willing and able. Some people, believe it or not, who are not able to do something, they present themselves as unwilling because they don't want you to know that they're not able. Able is a skill set. Able is the ability to do something. I'm capable of doing it. So if I don't have that skill set, that means I'm going to present myself as unwilling to you. I'm going to make it difficult for you because I don't want you to know that I don't have that skill.
Yeah.
I'll have to send you that video so you can take a look at it. The courts, just for fathers who out there or mothers who out there, the courts want you to present as what? Willing and able. They want you to come in with a willing and able spirit. But a lot of times, if I don't have that capacity, if I don't have that mental fortitude or the emotional fortitude to do it, then I'm going to present as unwilling. And I will make it difficult for you for no reason. Other than I'm hiding the fact that I don't want you to know that I don't know what I'm doing. Does that make sense?
100%.
Yeah. I got 2 people on Facebook watching me. That's awesome.
That's good.
Well, put something in the comment. Let me know you're there. Let me know who's there on Facebook. Or you can go to our website and, if you go to YouTube from the website, then you can click like, share, and subscribe. We're always trying to build subscribership up and build this channel because I plan on being here for a long time. And I'll be honest with you, some days I don't feel like coming on, but I meet people like Amadi and talk to him and talk to fathers. I think it encourages me to do it and keep going. Plus, my goal for maybe next week would be to have a mother or a son or a daughter come on and talk about their father and the role that they played in their life. And I know a lot of times there's tragedy involved. Some fathers pass away early, some fathers pass away, and there are a lot of things unsaid. That's why I say don't take for granted fathers, and we need to give our flowers to our fathers now. Don't wait until it's too late and say woulda, coulda, shoulda about those things, you know? I have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
I always ask this question when I do, even in my parenting class, I ask this question. You are at your funeral. You can't talk. You in the box. You're done. What do you want your children to say about you on that day? Do you want them to show up, first of all? Would you want your kids to attend? And what would you want them to say about you at your funeral?
Yeah, I would want them to show up. I would want them to attend. And I could be cool with simply he never gave up. And he was the example. He wasn't perfect, but he was the example.
Okay. So now we know what we got to live up to, right?
Right.
See, that I call that my sobering moment because you don't know when that day is going to happen. So we need to be conscious of that and work on it every day, every opportunity we have with our children to make sure that vision that you just presented comes to fruition,
Yeah.
Because you're the only one that can turn that dream into a reality. Not the mother, not the aunt or anybody else, is you. So that's why I try to get men to focus on the relationship with the child and don't worry about what mama's doing or not doing.
Right.
Because it'll get you off in the weeds. And if you focus on teaching the core values, when that child turns 12, 13 years old, they're going to make a decision.
Yep.
That they can't make now legally because of their age. Some children may know at 8, 9 years old who they want to live with, but the courts won't allow them to. Why do you think that is?
Probably because they feel like the kids don't know what they want.
Well, the system is biased.
Yeah.
That's systemic bias right there. They assume that the mother should have the children or she's the better parent.
Yeah.
Although statistics doesn't bear that out,
Yeah. How do you think that they still have the same ideologies when the stats show something totally different?
Well, if you look at the system now, I don't know what the percentage is, but imagine, I'm just hypothetical with the system, okay? because I don't know what I don't know what the real numbers are. But imagine this: you go into the court system, and 85 to 95% of the people that you encounter are female. Do you think they may have some bias towards you as a man? And what if
Yeah.
85 to 90% are white or European descent? Do you think there may be some cultural biases against you as a man?
Yeah.
So, like I said, I don't know the percentages, but I from my observation, I would say my own anecdotal experience is it's a really high number. You know, there are a lot of females in the system, from lawyers to judges, social workers. You rarely see a male social worker. CPS workers, you name it. So there's going to be certain biases that are going to be present, you know.
Yeah.
You might have to almost walk on water to get the results you want. All the woman has to do is cry. All she has to do is cry. I've even seen situations, you know, when you talk about domestic violence.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the woman talks about domestic violence, but then when you ask her, was it mutual combat? They will say, yes, it was mutual combat. You know what that means, right?
That means they did something as well.
Right. But they cry, and everything turns to the man like he's the devil. Mutual combat a lot of times means the woman initiated it. And he was put in a position to defend himself. But all she has to do is cry, and he's demonized. Or here's another one. She can cry or say, I don't feel safe. And he's demonized. But if it was mutual combat, the police were called or not called. You know, I'm assuming that sometimes the police get called, sometimes they don't. You know, why are we leaning towards, oh, we need to give the children to the mother because the father is this guy? And I look at the fact that, and I'm not saying all, I would never say all, but a large percentage being mutual combat, you would think that they will put that in, weigh that into the conversation, you know, when you're looking at children, or what's in the best interest of the child. But you have CASA workers, female, you have lawyers, social workers, and even police officers are female. And I'm going to tell you, man, you go in that court and you don't have a lawyer, and sometimes it's beneficial to have a female lawyer than over a male lawyer going into court, you know? They just have that language that they speak to one another. We call it code. You agree or disagree?
I agree.
Oh, okay. I thought I had lost you.
Nah, I'm here.
Yeah. Well, look, it is 9:30. I normally stay on until 10. I have this set up for 2 hours, but I want to thank you for coming on. I'm going to go ahead and shut down a little early tonight and just try to get this 30 minutes in. And but I appreciate you coming on, man.
Yeah, for sure, man. Anytime, man. We're going to get them numbers.
Us, you know, I think the conversation was good. Hopefully somebody will go back and look at this and say, hey, this was a awesome conversation, and we'll get some comments on it. You know, we'll see what happens. My job now is to continue to do this, whether people come or not, because one day they may go back and watch them all, you know. We're going to start cutting these up into like 3-minute shorts. I can't wait till we start doing the shorts, and then we'll post those on YouTube as well. All right, sir. Well, you have a blessed evening, and I'll talk to you soon, okay?
All right. Sounds good, man. You do the same.
You take care.
And
thank everybody for participating. I would say for watching. Be it you watching it now live or going back and watch. I want to thank you for doing so. And please go to YouTube and like, share, and subscribe to the channel. We have some goals. Another thing I'm trying to do is not just celebrate fathers, but I want to be able to be a blessing to fathers monthly. Pick a father a month and give them, my goal would be great $500 for them to spend on themselves to do something for fathers. And I really want to do that primarily because Father's Day, we get the neckties or we get nothing at all. You know, I've been many years of getting nothing at all. So I want to help to acknowledge some fathers and let them know that we appreciate them and their contribution and not giving up on the family. That is awesome right there when you can acknowledge men for doing that. So if you want to contribute, go to our website. And there's a QR code there. You can contribute to our website, to our cause, okay? I'm hoping that we can build that out soon. I don't want to be a year from now, 6 months from now, still talking about it. I want to be about it as far as blessing fathers, okay? I'm going to have to come out of my pocket with it sooner or later, and I think that's what I'm going to have to start doing, just doing it myself, and hopefully somebody will join in and contribute to that cause, okay? All right, well, God bless, and we'll see you on Monday. We're celebrating fatherhood.